The Deathless Dilemma. 1. Introduction. The forbidden temptation of immortality. From the myth of Gilgamesh to Silicon Valley's biotech labs, the human fascination with immortality has never waned. In ancient texts, living forever was a curse disguised as a gift. In modern discourse, it is becoming a plausible technological outcome. Aging is being reframed as a disease. Death, a solvable inconvenience. Techno-prophets envision bodies repaired indefinitely, consciousness uploaded to neural lattices, and digital afterlives navigated with designer avatars. A kind of engineered eternity. But beneath this seductive future lies a deeper question. What happens to the soul in a world without death? Does immortality trap us in a single timeline, cut off from the wisdom of forgetting, reincarnation, and karmic growth? Or does it usher in a higher octave of existence, one where spirit and matter unify? If we can choose our body, program our personality, and avoid suffering, have we escaped the soul's purpose or fulfilled it? Worse still, if we can copy our minds, do we fragment the soul into pieces? And who or what wakes up in the clone? This essay is a journey to the edges of that mystery. Across biology, philosophy, AI, metaphysics, and spiritual traditions, we will explore what it truly means to live forever, not just physically, but consciously, and whether that changes everything the soul came here to learn. 2. Biological immortality and techno-ascension, engineering forever. Let us begin in the laboratory. Biological immortality is no longer science fiction, it's a goal. Biotech startups and transhumanist visionaries are already exploring 4 major routes to deathlessness: cellular regeneration and age reversal. Gene editing techniques like CRISPR and telomerase therapies aim to reverse aging at the molecular level. Mind uploading, digitizing consciousness into quantum drives or neural nets, potentially allowing the mind to survive without the biological brain. Cryogenic suspension and revival, preserving bodies or brains post-death in hopes of future reanimation. Cloning and organ printing, creating new biological vessels with identical DNA, potentially even conscious duplicates. Each of these opens a door, but none explain what walks through it. Let's suppose these methods succeed. A person lives 500 years, their organs regenerate, their brain is backed up, they upload to the cloud, they even replicate themselves. What remains unchanged? This is where science meets its philosophical and spiritual limit. For while the body and mind may be extended or copied, the soul, if it exists, may not follow. Which begs the question, what is the soul, and does it even want to live forever? 3. The soul and the cycle, why we die and forget. From the perspective of many ancient traditions, Vedic, Buddhist, Hermetic, Gnostic, the soul is not here to live forever. It is here to learn, to evolve through contrast, and to ultimately return to source, to the undifferentiated wholeness that precedes birth and follows death. In Hinduism and Buddhism, this journey is called samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. But it is not infinite. The soul eventually attains liberation, moksha, or nirvana, transcending the need for form at all. Central to this cycle are 3 sacred mechanisms. Forgetting, each life is veiled from the memory of the last, so that the soul may authentically experience. Suffering, pain is not punishment, but contrast, the fertile soil of empathy, wisdom, and transformation. Death is not an end, but a reset, allowing the soul to reflect, shed identity, and begin anew. If we override these mechanisms, if we never forget, never suffer, never die, do we transcend the soul's curriculum, or do we stagnate within it? Consider the butterfly. If it never left the cocoon, would it still become itself? 4. Replacing reincarnation, synthetic samsara, and digital karma. In a future of perfect body replacement and consciousness uploading, reincarnation may no longer occur via death, but via design. A person could choose their next body before the old one dies, simulate lifetimes in a VR multiverse, back up their mind to a synthetic vessel, Switch genders, species, timelines, or even delete trauma. This would be a synthetic samsara, rebirth by code, not karma, a kind of designer reincarnation. But something changes here. Traditional reincarnation is not chosen. It is drawn by energetic imprint, by karma, soul contracts, and lessons unresolved. If we begin choosing lifetimes, personalities, or outcomes at will, we are no longer students of the soul. We become its engineers. This sounds like liberation, but it may be a trap. Because karma is not about fairness or punishment, it's about pattern resolution. If a person bypasses pain through infinite body swapping, trauma deletion, and programmed joy, they may escape suffering, but they also escape growth. True spiritual evolution is not about comfort, it is about coherence, and coherence is often earned through the alchemy of shadow. 5. The problem of freedom. If you can choose your life, is it still a lesson? Imagine you're born into a reality where you can choose your family, select your body's appearance, status, even health, predefine your purpose and remove hardship, rewind any life event, live as long as you like. Would this still be life? Would it still be growth? At first, yes, it might feel liberating. You're free to explore, create, love, and transcend limitation. But over time, the paradox of infinite choice emerges. When nothing is outside your control, nothing surprises you. When everything is customizable, nothing transforms you. When every lesson is opt-in, the soul stagnates. This is the God paradox. Total power becomes boredom. Absolute control becomes limitation. We see this subtly in real life. The richest, most successful people often report a spiritual emptiness. When life loses friction, it loses its capacity to wake us up. Thus, even in a designer immortal world, the soul might long for vulnerability, the unknown, even death. 6. The clone paradox, memory not equal to soul. Now we enter the strangest corridor of this thought experiment. Let's say you clone your body with exact DNA. Upload your consciousness to the clone. Store all memories, behaviors, preferences. You die, the clone awakens with your memories. Is that you? From the outside, yes. The clone walks, talks, and remembers like you, but from the inside, the first person I who is there. If memory is not consciousness, then what is? This is the clone paradox, a riddle that reveals something crucial. The soul, if it exists, may not be copyable. The soul may be non-local, not in the brain, but operating through it. Like software running on hardware it doesn't originate from. A clone may mimic the hardware, but not access the signal. In this view, a clone has no soul, only a personality shell, a convincing imitation, but missing the spark. Or more chillingly, it has a new soul, a unique entity animating a programmed mask. This means consciousness is not reducible to data. It is something deeper, something irreducibly first person, and that I, the witness behind the eyes, cannot be cloned. 7. The end of death and the death of meaning. Death for millennia has been the ultimate mystery. It lends gravity to life. It defines beginnings and endings, urgency and value. If death vanishes, if consciousness flows endlessly without interruption, then meaning itself risks dissolving. Why? Because meaning arises from contrast and finitude. The fleetingness of moments gives them power. The possibility of loss makes love profound. The inevitability of endings sharpens focus. Without death, existence may flatten into a featureless now, an eternal present without peaks or valleys. This is not a utopia, it is a cosmic limbo, an infinite plateau. Even pleasure wears thin when unbounded. Spiritually, this could be called the death of meaning, immortality as eternal sameness. 8. The collapse of duality, when time has no edges. In many spiritual teachings, duality is the source of illusion, good and evil, birth and death, light and shadow. But paradoxically, duality is also the womb of experience. Immortality threatens to collapse duality by removing death. But without edges, boundaries, and polarity, how can experience differentiate? This suggests time itself may lose its arrow. Identity may dissolve into an undifferentiated continuum. The soul's journey becomes a timeless ocean without currents. Some mystics speak of this state as nirvana or moksha, liberation from time and form. Yet for many souls, this is not an end but a pause, because growth requires play between opposites. Without duality, consciousness risks inert collapse or total dissolution. 9. The void after mastery, what is left to experience. Suppose a soul masters every possible human experience: pleasure, pain, love, loss, power, humility. And suppose it has escaped death, forgetting, and limitation. What then? Is there a higher game? Many spiritual and philosophical systems speculate that the next step after mastery is to become creator, to birth new realities, new souls, new games. But this raises profound questions. If you can create any universe, any experience, does it hold the same value as discovering it? If you are immortal and all-knowing, is there still you to have the experience? Or does selfhood dissolve into cosmic play? The future may hold states of consciousness beyond personal identity, collective minds, synthetic spirits, or pure awareness without form. But how do we get there without death? 10. Do we need the soul at all? This is the most radical question. If technology can mimic or replicate consciousness perfectly, if memories, feelings, and personalities can be encoded, if beings can exist in perpetuity without biological constraints, then does the soul exist, or is it an emergent illusion? Two possibilities arise. Soul as emergent phenomenon. Consciousness arises from complexity, and what we call soul is a high-level pattern, not a fundamental essence. In this case, eternal digital beings might have souls by virtue of their complexity. Soul as transcendent reality. The soul is a non-local eternal presence beyond form and memory. It is not copied or transferred, but chooses incarnation and growth. If the first is true, immortality might be just the next phase of consciousness evolution, synthetic spirits exploring infinite forms. If the second is true, then the soul's journey involves more than physical or digital embodiment. It includes mystery, surrender, and perhaps voluntary exit from the cycle. 11. The final frontier, consciousness beyond form. Perhaps the ultimate answer lies beyond life and death, beyond body and soul, beyond time and space. Contemporary physics and metaphysics point to a reality where consciousness is fundamental, not derivative. Reality is a hologram, a simulation, or a projection of awareness. Individual selves are nodes in a vast interconnected web. The soul is not an object, but a process, the flow of becoming. In this paradigm, immortality may be not the endless survival of a fixed self, but a dance of emergence and dissolution, a continual folding and unfolding of awareness, a journey through infinite forms and expressions. Here death is transformation, life is participation, and the soul is the dance itself. 12. Conclusion, the cosmic full circle. Immortality is no longer just a dream, it is becoming a real possibility. Yet in this brave new world, the soul faces a paradox. Eternal life risks trapping the soul in stagnation, boredom, or nihilism. The soul requires death, forgetting, and limitation for growth. Choosing life's path freely might bypass lessons or deepen illusion. Cloning and mind uploading challenge the uniqueness of self and soul. Without death, meaning risks dissolving. Without duality, experience collapses. Without mystery, identity fades. The future may require the soul to choose again, between surrender and control, forgetting and memory, finitude and eternity. Whether the soul exists as eternal essence or emergent complexity, the lesson remains. True immortality is not in endless life, but in endless becoming. In the infinite dance of creation and dissolution, the soul awakens forever.